XRP family, XRP army. Today, I have a very special video with Edo XRP, a crypto influencer, a leading top XRP influencer. Edo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for bringing me to your channel. I know I sent you a message probably 3 years ago. That's very
Yeah.
fun. I used to watch some videos of your channel. I was not really having my own YouTube channel back there, but very happy we got to connect today. So we have a lot of topics to discuss.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. You're literally one of the top influencers on X right now, on XRP, that talks about XRP, XLM cryptocurrency. So you've grown a lot in the past 3 years. So it's a pleasure to have you on our channel today. So I guess tell us about XRP. How did you get into XRP? When did you get into XRP? What was your first buying price? Like how did you get into XRP?
Well, that's a lovely story, and that actually gets me way back in time. So we have to go all the way back to 2017. And that's the moment I was, I am European, so I was doing Erasmus. That's when you go to study abroad. I was studying in Portugal and I was working as an intern for a law firm.
Okay.
Actually, I studied law, so that's my background. And I got the opportunity to work with a gentleman that's called Marcio, and Marcio was a BTC Maxi back there. So he was constantly telling me to get on crypto, and I ended up selling my car. I had a very old Land Rover Freelander, year 2000, very funny, and I sold that for about $3,000, and I decided to get on crypto. So I ended up buying BTC, Dogecoin, and Paccoin. These were my original first purchases in crypto. And then I remember I was trying to move Bitcoin from one wallet to the other. I think it was from Coinbase to Coinbase Pro, or perhaps Coinbase to Binance. I don't really remember the context, but what was happening is I was paying very high fees per transaction. Sometimes, like, this thing was costing me $50 just to move some BTC.
Yeah.
And then I went through some forums and I started to research how could I move BTC more cheap, and then I came to XRP that just moves value with finality in under 3 seconds, and that made me to raise an eyebrow. So I started to use XRP as a mechanism to move value without paying high transaction fees. And years later, the SEC came out after Ripple, and that's something inside me has just said, I think XRP is the chosen currency to play a pivotal role in the financial system. And that's the moment I actually bought my largest XRP purchase ever. That was at 16 cents. And
Wow.
that has been a blessing because just a few weeks later, it was already like a 5x from 16 cents. And on that bull run, XRP even went above $2. So that for me was something telling me XRP is doing something on the system. And the fact that the SEC came after Ripple, specifically targeting the institutional sales of XRP, really told me that there was something about this coin that I should research more. And that's how I ended up being a content creator and also one of the most active people on X talking about XRP.
Yeah. Yeah, you are definitely one of the most active people on XRP. So 16 cents, that is your lowest entry point. That's an amazing entry point. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was exactly in the same day the SEC came with a lawsuit against Ripple, and it was about 48 hours later. It was like at the lowest level possible.
so
Everyone was saying XRP would go to zero,
mm,
and I had the biggest conviction play of my life because I bought over $10,000, which for me was a fortune back there. I
yeah.
was going almost all in with all the money I had, and that has paid off.
Yeah. So basically that's what happens when you bet against the market. When everyone is selling and you're buying, that's when you get rewarded. So that was basically a lesson we can learn for XRP for any cryptocurrency. So Edo, I see on X that you said just today actually that 10,000 XRP is going to be something that many people will not be able to get. Like 10,000 XRP, many people will be priced out of that now in the next few months and years. So how much do you truly think 10,000 XRP will be worth, let's say in the next few years, by 2030? How much do you think it can be worth?
By 2030, I think it's if I give like predictions here, I don't really like to give specific price predictions, but rather I like to explain this in different terms. I think we have to look for the derivatives markets. We have to look for $1.2 quadrillion. That's all the Swift transactions. It's everything Swift is doing in basically 1 year. So we have to ask ourselves the right questions. If XRP is to capture just a small fraction of Swift, let's say this $1.2 quadrillion per year in transactions of value that Swift is moving, what would be XRP's price? If we quote, there's David Schwartz is one of the architects of the XRP ledger, together with Arthur Brito and Jed McCaleb, and he has a very interesting quote where he says a higher priced XRP is a better vehicle for payments. So it's very unrealistic to even conceive that XRP is going to be moving trillions of dollars in cross-border payments. We don't even have to go to cross-border payments. We can talk also about tokenization of real-world assets, and then you start to calculate, and basically it would have to be on the thousands of dollars to handle even a small fraction of Swift. If we are talking about, let's say, 10% of Swift, that would be required perhaps XRP to be above $1,000. So I don't see the same potential with any other cryptocurrency in the markets. I think Ripple is positioning itself way beyond just a private company. When you look for the board of directors, the partnerships, when you look at the financial institutions that previously praised XRP, you have the Bank of International Settlements talking about XRP as a bridge currency. You have the IMF, you have the World Economic Forum, you have even Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, former IMF. She came out and she praised Ripple in public. So when you start to really connect what Ripple is building, it's a whole financial system. It's not only a digital asset. And I think what I have said is that most people are indeed being priced out. It's not something that's going to happen in the future, but just to clarify the concept here, what I mean by that is that, just as I said, if you go back to 2018, or sorry, 2019, when the SEC lawsuit came out in December, you could purchase 60,000 XRPs with about $10,000 at an average price of 16 cents, similar to what I did there. Right now, XRP is trading, I don't know the exact price in this second, but something around $2.30. That means that you need $23,000 to own 10,000 XRPs. Most retail investors right now, take Americans for instance, they don't even have $10,000 in savings. They are actually in debt. Come to Europe, the situation is even worse. I know people my age, like let's say people in their 20s, they don't even have like $1,000. That's the economical situation in Europe, and people are not understanding how serious this situation will get once massive layoffs are going to take place because of artificial intelligence. So we can already safely say that retail is being priced out of XRP, and not only XRP, of digital assets as a whole. People are forced to sell to actually afford for a living, which is a very sad reality. And that's why I think that if you understand where this technology is moving towards, I think the last thing you want to do is just sell your digital assets to afford for a living. That's why I did a video recently calling for people to find extra sources of income, perhaps find a side hustle, really lock in. I think it's the time to lock in, because I don't think our great grandparents or grandparents had the same possibility as us right now with digital assets. I know they had similar opportunities in terms of return per investment with real estate. Let's say they had Manhattan, if you bought land there 100 years ago, perhaps would get the same type of returns. But I think our time with real estate is over. I don't think we can get 100x in any place in the entire world, but I do think we have this opportunity with digital assets.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the most important things that you said was about AI, and how AI is going to literally change the way the world works, how people work, and people really need to wake up to that fact, because the world is going to change very quickly in the next few years. It's going to be a completely different world. So, and inflation is unfortunate right now. A lot of people are struggling. So if you're watching right now and you have 10,000 XRP or more than 10,000, consider yourself lucky, fortunate. You're elite. You're part of the top group. Like, we make XRP rich list videos. And I think to be in the top 10% today, you need like 2,500 XRP, 2,400 XRP. So if you have 10,000 XRP, that basically puts you in the top 3% of all XRP holders in the world.
And it's difficult. Think about this. You want to go do to buy 10,000 XRPs, you need to take from your pockets $23,000. That's not that easy. Even if you make a lot of money monthly, let's say you make $30,000 per month, which nobody's doing absolutely, it still costs you to take out 20K from pockets and buy. That's why people are indeed being priced out. And also most people are not prepared for AI. You are a content creator for longer than I, but you probably realize how probably you have on your emails like hundreds of messages of people who design thumbnails, graphic designers, people who create scripts. I used it to need them perhaps 3 years ago. Now you can just, with the right prompt on ChatGPT, they have been already replaced, and you can see that they are fighting for just a few positions. Now, we're talking here, of course, about internet content creation, but the same is happening. I have an example here. I live in Greece, and I'm very honest. Greece is very outdated in relation to other European countries. If you compare in terms of technology to Germany or Sweden or even the north of Italy, where I come from. However, they are already replacing human labor with AI. They just open, the franchising. It's called Zara. It's they do clothing in Europe, one of the biggest ones. What they are doing in the big cities here in Europe, so they closing up the small Zaras and they opening like this huge, it's almost the size of a building. And what they are doing is they getting rid of human labor. I went for some shopping 1 month ago. You don't have people selling things anymore. Like when you do the payment, you don't pay for someone working at the store. The cashiers have been replaced by machines. It's one person that is only helping you out how to figure out how to use the machines, but it's all machines already. And that's happening in Greece, which is an outdated country, and it's also happening. It came to my knowledge, it's happening in Portugal, where I lived in the past. So imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Like you said, people definitely have to get a side hustle. They need to get a second job, a third job. They need to find ways to save money so they can invest. That's the only way for them to get out of the rat race. That's the only way for people to get ahead, is to struggle for a few years, to actually put in the work, to put in the time, to put in the effort, to invest for your future. And time is ticking. Time is ticking.
I totally agree. I did that for the past 3 to 4 years. I know I have told so many people, including people from my family, and you know how people are, they don't listen. But when I was sitting there and I say XRP is like 50 cents, I'm going to work my ass out. I was cutting on parties. I had the money. I chose to not buy a new car. I was living in a very small studio for like more than 1.5 years. I was paying like 250 euros of rent in a very small studio in the ground floor. And I was having money, okay? I chose to not live comfortably, even it's a challenge sometimes to create content there, but I kept going. And what I was doing this time, I was just accumulating. I was buying tons of every extra money I had, I was putting on XRP, XLM, SHX, HBAR. They all increased at least 500%. So it definitely paid off. And I totally recommend people to do the same in the next year, because when XRP is at $100, that will be too late.
Like you said, if you didn't struggle, if you didn't go through the grind, if you didn't sacrifice for those 2-3 years, you would have never got rewarded. You would have never got paid. So that's something that everyone needs to do. If you're watching right now, please do that. That can literally change your life. It can change your life. You mentioned other cryptocurrencies as well, like HBAR, XLM, XRP. So like if you truly had to just choose one out of all the cryptocurrencies that you own, which one is your favorite cryptocurrency?
Wow, man, that's an easy question. You want me to exclude XRP out of that, or?
Excluding XRP.
Okay, excluding XRP, that has to go for XLM.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I see you speaking a lot about Stellar, SHX, Stronghold as well on your X.
SHX, I made a great call. It was like 3 days ago.
Hmm.
and it has already increased like almost double the price. And honestly, now they announced there will be an escrow. They actually following a very similar business model of Ripple, which is a successful business model. They will escrow a huge percentage of the SHXs in circulation, and that will drive scarcity. So I'm betting very heavily on SHX as well. It's very cheap now. I said 3 days ago, I went to a podcast and I said with just $8,000, you could afford more than 1 million SHX. Now the same 8,000 can actually get you about 600,000. So price has already increased, but I think it's just the beginning.
Oh, well, I don't have any SHX, but I'll definitely take a look into it. And it looks interesting. I did some research into it. It does look interesting. So I see that also you tweeted as well that you never regretted buying any XRP dips. So is there any time that you actually were thinking of selling? Because some people that, buy XRP, unfortunately, actually, a lot of people end up selling. They get scared, they get impatient, they sell, whatever it is. So was there any time that you actually wanted to sell as well? And like, how did you get through that period of time?
Well, being very honest, there has been times in the last year. I'm also a real estate investor. So
Mm-hmm.
I also diversify from digital assets to cryptocurrencies. And at some point in the last 2 years, I have been buying properties. And of course, when you buy properties, you eventually dry up a bit of your liquidity. And at some points, I was thinking to take profits on XRP, but that went against my principles and I didn't. And I don't regret because otherwise I would have sold at $1, $1.50. That wouldn't have made any sense. I would just regret now.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, what I have done is I sat down and I decided I was going to work harder and bring extra liquidity, just like I am advising people to do the same. And fortunately enough, I was also diversified in other digital assets. One of them was SHX and Velo,
Mm-hmm.
which they had a substantial run a couple of months ago. So that allowed me to pull out some profits from this other cryptocurrency that I hold and bring some liquidity to buy real estate in Greece, which I think I used to say that getting some property in Athens is the same as buying XRP at 50 cents.
Yeah, Athens, I was there before. It's a very nice city. A lot of people, a lot of cafes, history. Very nice city. So XRP now in the next few days, weeks, and months. Let's talk about the XRP ETFs. When do you think the XRP ETFs is going to be approved? Like, do you see it being approved this year? If so, when exactly? Because the
Well,
XRP.
sorry. We already had futures XRP ETF approved in Brazil. That was the first ever. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball to really predict if they're gonna get the spot ETF
Mhm.
approved this year, but I think that's an inevitable part of the process. I just don't want to give like timelines, but I truly believe that's gonna happen. However, I don't think the ETFs are gonna be the major catalyst for the price appreciation that we are expecting. I truly believe they will have an impact in the price because you bring institutional money on the equation, but not on the way that I am forecasting, which is about real world adoption, integration with systems like Swift, perhaps with the derivatives market, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, I'm not really paying that much attention for the ETFs because I also see a downside in the ETFs that opens further doors for price manipulation, just like they do with BTC ETFs. So that's not something inherently positive, but that's going to attract more liquidity to the ecosystem, and for sure it can increase the price, perhaps for a 2 or 3x. That's how I see it.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Because a lot of people are expecting for the ETFs to have a very positive impact on the price of XRP, and a lot of people are expecting the ETFs will push us to $5, $10. So that's
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible that we can see instant appreciation perhaps within a week or two from the ETFs, let's say to $5 or $7.
Mhm.
But I don't think that's going to be the ultimate factor that's going to bring XRP to the prices that I am targeting for the future, like
Mhm.
above $100, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There definitely we need other catalysts. A big thing.
Absolutely.
And you were at XRP Las Vegas last week, so you saw a glimpse of that, like the future. And did you meet Brad Garlinghouse at all, the CEO of Ripple?
Unfortunately, I didn't met him, but I watched him on stage. I actually recorded his entire speech, and I was happy that I went there with a company which is called Monerex. It's a Web3 built on top of the XRP ledger. I
Mhm.
work with that company and the head of social adoption, and our founder was a speaker, and he ended up hanging out with Brad Garlinghouse. They had a very interesting conversation, so that was amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I actually I made a video, a YouTube video about XRP using your video that
Oh,
you
that's awesome.
that you recorded live there. So I appreciate the work that you do. The community appreciates the work that you do.
And
Um,
by the way, now there is XRP Apex in Singapore. I
mhm.
even had the tickets, but I decided not to go. I was out of Europe. I was at XRP Las Vegas, previously in Mexico. So I was out for 2 weeks and I just came back. I have so much work delayed. And I
Yeah,
said, unfortunately, I will not be able to go to XRP Apex, but I have contacts there and they will send me firsthand when Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz speak on stage. So you can check on my channel. I'm going to bring that fresh. You can use it again.
very cool, very cool. I'll definitely leave all the links to your X, your YouTube down below. Everyone check out his channel. He's literally doing an amazing job. You do. Is there any like final comments, any final advice that you want to give
Yeah,
the community?
absolutely. Well, first, I want to send a special thanks for you to bring me on your channel. Hopefully, I can bring you on my channel in the future, or perhaps in our podcast. And now, final thoughts. I think if you're watching this to the end, it already shows you have patience because nowadays people are not even having
Mhm.
the attention. Like people only want the fast results and watch YouTube shorts and that type of things. But I truly believe if you have patience, you're gonna thrive on these crypto markets. These markets they basically reward the ones that have patience. They take money out of the impatient and they put in the pocket of the ones that have patience. You know how many months I was buying XRP month after month after month, seeing other digital assets move. It
Yeah.
was 50 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents. It was almost like a torture for the ones that don't have patience. For me, that was the biggest possible blessing because I knew what was coming and I was able to accumulate at very low prices. Now, the big lesson here is I think fundamentally to be successful in crypto, you don't have to be a successful trader. You don't need to understand nothing about TA. You don't even need to have a high IQ. You don't need to be intelligent. You just need patience, as
Yeah.
simple as it is.
Yeah, literally. Patience, diversify as well, work hard. Uh,
Sometimes it's like doing more doing less is more in
yeah,
crypto. I truly believe
yeah.
this is my motto. I think holding for the long term holders
Mhm.
outperform traders with far less cortisol in their bodies by just holding.
Yeah, literally. Literally. People make so many mistakes selling too early and then swapping it for a shit coin or a pump and dump, and then they just want quick gains, and that's literally how they lose money. That's how you lose money in crypto. But
That's how you lose money, focus, and your health, because it also comes with a lot of stress.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Go touch grass, go to the gym, go exercise, do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy some crypto, send to the cold wallet, forget about it, check in 2 years, thank me later.
Literally, that's it. That's all it is. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Edu, for your time. Appreciate you. Again, all the links will be down below to his channel, to his X. And yeah, take care.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.